Hello, everyone. My name is Fletus Poston. It's been a little while since I've hosted one of these, so I'd like to take a little bit of time just to update you and see how everyone is doing. So, again, Fletus Poston, for those who have not joined this banter before, I am a 20 year, vet of the IT security field. I've started my career as an IDS handler, did some IT audit, before moving into a regulated utility where I did IT service management, web app monitoring, and electronic document management. During my time on the electronic document management team, I started as a business analyst, moved into a system admin, where I took the time to put security back into my role by picking up identity and access management for our corporate and nuclear applications. I supported hundreds of AD groups, dozens of process service accounts, and at the same time, I was like, I got the itch to go back to school. So I went back and got my master's in information assurance and then formally put security back in my title the following year when I joined their SOC as a cyber systems engineer, building out the tooling for them. Did that for the next 6 years before I left and became a senior manager of security operations, where I owned pretty much everything but GRC, doing threat and vulnerability management, application security, um, SecOps, security engineering, and security architecture. After I left them, I now serve as a director of security architecture and system architecture for a manufacturing firm where I have the opportunity to help lead a lot of our new compliance and work closely to fix and update our application security and threat and vulnerability management. So, for tonight's banter, I'd just like to talk about a few things that many of us probably have already talked about. I've mentioned them in my Food for Thought series, which you can follow on LinkedIn and here on my YouTube channel. And you can also check them out as I post Saturday morning, Sipping with Cybersecurity. So, this is my 1 year project. I have been doing these sessions, videos, video blogging for approximately 12 months now. It was a commitment I made to myself last Thanksgiving, and last week was Thanksgiving. So, I've now been doing this for a full 12 months. What I've learned during this journey is I enjoy making content and helping with mass mentorship. Mentorship is key in our field as it allows us to share knowledge cheaply and quickly with individuals. It allows us to understand what it's like to get into this field in non-traditional ways. It also allows us just to dive into the mind and the perspective of other individuals. As Covey's mentioned in his book, Seven Habits of Effective Leadership, we have to understand the perspective. So, teams I've led, teams I've worked in, I've always used the mantra that you'll see a six and I'll see a nine until I help you see from my point of view or I sit and see your point of view. So, the best thing to do is just to find the perspective of the community. So, in the last 12 months, I've learned that some of the topics that's been most helpful is the non-traditional paths into cybersecurity, the mentorship elements, networking, not just the technical components of our field. Many other people, such as many of my friends and peers, put out technical content. I've put some out over the last year, but most of mine have been around soft skills, understanding the human centric side of security, of protecting you and I first as in humans, then employees, and then the professions in which we work in, if that's marketing, finance, R&D, IT, or even cybersecurity. Next, it's important that we think about how you and I operate in 2025. Within the last couple of years, we have dealt with more agentic and AI terms. So machine learning was our buzz topic many years ago. It's been embedded in many of our tools, continues to be talked about, and now we're adding agents to our workflows with the term agentic agents. Since I last spoke with you, and I have picked up an adjunct lecturing position with a local university here in North Carolina, which I'm been privileged of teaching an AI business systems cybersecurity class this fall semester and will be teaching again in the spring. What I quickly learned from the new generation, these 18 to 21-year-olds, is there are some common knowledge and some common gaps that are just not what we call common sense anymore. Jokingly, asked one of them what an appliance was. Well, they stated that you're talking about my microwave, you're talking about my refrigerator, my dishwasher. Today's generation may or may not ever see the inside of a data center. They may not know what a rack looks like. They may not know when you say an RU1 or when you mention the word appliance or server, because to them, their data is in the cloud. Which leads me into another thing that I talked about, I believe, on a previous channel, if not in one of my videos, and I wrote about. Today's generation doesn't understand the structure of files and folders. You ask them where their data went, they say, I don't know, because they typed it into their Apple Notes, they typed it into a Google document, or they placed it into Microsoft OneDrive. They don't know where that was stored. So another fun exercise was introducing Linux file systems to the students. One of their labs this semester was being able to navigate through a command line interface inside of a Ubuntu appliance, or in some cases they use their Mac terminal, helping them understanding case sensitivity, file structure, how permissions are granted, how least privilege works between different accounts and different environments. So going back to understanding that what we had common knowledge when I started in the field in 2005 versus what I know today in 2025 is not the same knowledge that the generation breaking into the workforce today knows. Many of them were issued a Chromebook, an iPad, or some kind of tablet when they entered grade school, into kindergarten. You may think this is strange, but for the next 13 years, they're using technology to learn. Another stranger part is it's now 5 years post-COVID. So the individuals that were born during COVID are now entering kindergarten and first grade. Those that were in kindergarten are now in middle school. Those that were in middle school are now graduating, and those that were in high school are now graduating college. So that means this is the first year that individuals impacted by COVID are now entering the workforce, school, high school, and even elementary school, where technology is now more important to them. We learned very quickly what it meant to be isolated. We learned that individuals are now either forced or have the opportunity to be fully remote or to work from home or work remote, which is two separate terms which you can cover at a different time. Those individuals may not have the networking skills that you and I have. So my video series again this year was in sharing the importance of in-person versus virtual and making sure that they have a community to help them. I have been blessed and privileged to have many different in-person and virtual networks to help me succeed in my career. I'm active here in the Charlotte community of North Carolina, where I serve as a board member for our ISSA chapter. I sit as a security leader on an IT professionals group based out in the Lake Norman area, where we do security breakfast. And I've had the privilege of being asked to speak at many different conferences. I have the ability later this week to speak at a local B-Sides, Fish Club, and ISSA meetup called FrostCon. During that meetup, which I'll share here in a moment, I will be speaking on supply chain attacks. So you can see from here, this conference is taking place on Wednesday. I will be speaking on the importance of protecting your organizations from supply chain attacks. What that means in today's system is many of us think about it and know about this already. We quickly and sometimes easily allow third-party software or fourth-party software into our environment, thus allowing a vector for different things to happen. During the talk that I will be giving on Wednesday, we will be talking about the importance of understanding what packages are part of your software. So we already know, if you've been watching the news, that many NPM packages have been weaponized. So your node package manager, NPM, can no longer be trusted. But Fletus, what does that mean? How do I know if my NPM packages are vulnerable? That is a great question that I will talk about in my talk, and I'll briefly tease out here. You need to work with your development team, your application security team, your SecOps team, and even in your IT team to make sure that you understand what supply chain capabilities your organization is at risk to. Additionally, this is where you can engage with your third-party risk management team, your TPRM, your GRC team, even, even your legal team, to understand what you would do when a supply chain attack impacts you or a third or fourth party contract you have. The notable one that we like to reference is the Target breach, where an HVAC vendor of theirs was compromised and had access to their network. We also have the SolarWinds attack, and then, as I alluded to, we have the new NPM worm that's been going through and impacting GitHub repos. Do you, as a SecOps manager, AppSec manager, or even a developer, understand who maintains those open source packages? Do you have SaaS, DAST, and SCA processes in place to find these in your environment? Which leads me to another term that many of us do not talk about enough, which is your software bill of materials, or also called an SBOM. SBOMs are important because it allows you and I to quickly and easily understand what's in our software. This can be from placing information into a website. This could be placing it into our READMEs, into our release notes, every time we update a package. For those who are using Chromium-based features, we'll pick on the Electron framework. I dealt with this often in a previous life, and I've seen it show up again recently. You and I know as individuals, going back to my human-centric posture, that Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, Brave, all Chrome or any browser-based, have weekly updates. Well, think about your application that relies on a Chrome-based browser. As I said, the Electron framework, which is a flash popped up screen that's using Chromium-based components to display your SaaS application. You didn't load it in a browser window, you loaded it into a separate window. You're running vulnerable code right there by calling a legacy version of the browser. Your extensions, same way. Do you know what extensions are installed in your environment? Do you know how those extensions are logged into? Do you have conditional access policies or other security tools to prevent your users from logging in with a non-corporate account? i.e., can they log in with their Gmail, Live, or personal email address, which would allow syncing of potential proprietary information away from that corporate asset to a personal device such as their phone, tablet, or even their laptop. I gave this in one of my talks that is one of the easiest way to exfil sensitive information, your root accounts, your admin accounts, even just some of the services that your employees are using, because you're able to see what URLs they're hitting and what they're logging in with. Are they logging in with their individual first.last name? You now know the demeanor. Are they logging in with a alias as support@domain.com? And then what password links do they have? If you see short passwords, likely means that the environment is not enforcing length inside of their password complexity or passphrase complexity that we've talked about over the years. NIST came out recently, as you may be aware, and stated that they were wrong. Complexity is not what's needed, it's more length. So please be aware of that when you're updating your policies. If you're aligning with NIST 853 and this, or 62 or 63 is the new password manager. Pardon me for not remembering off the top of my head, but make sure that you understand exactly what's deployed in your environment and how. So we're about 15 minutes in. Let's recap a little bit. I've shared my background, shared what I'm up to, shared that I'm still actively doing mass mentorship via LinkedIn's Food for Thoughts, my Saturday morning podcast, and then I'm giving a talk here in Charlotte on Wednesday around protecting your environment from supply chain attacks. So let's move on to another topic that we're going to talk about. And you're likely going to either subconsciously think about or unsubconsciously think about in the next 4 weeks. If you reside in the US, you know that we just had our Thanksgiving, and now we're moving into the December holidays, which leads us to Christmas and New Year's. For most organizations, most individuals are now starting to wind down for the year. They're relaxing. They're setting up their out of offices. They're wrapping up their self-assessments, getting ready for their end of year performance. but they're also letting their guard down. As I posted in one of my food for thoughts right before Thanksgiving, please be aware of the operational security risk that your employees have when they immediately share, I'm taking 2 weeks off. I'm disconnecting. I'm getting on a plane to Cancun. I'm getting on a cruise ship. I will not be reachable. As I posted in my other recent thoughts, is your organization able to respond to Bob being gone and out of office, not reachable for the next 72 to 96 hours? Do you have the right SOPs, standard operating procedures? Do you have MOPS, method of procedures? Do you have run books and knowledge base articles to allow the temp worker or the junior staff to be able to respond for Bob or Sally when they're not reachable, as they will be taking respective holidays? Additionally, do you have backup to the executives who are may or may not be reachable via phone, Teams, Slack, Discord, or whatever platform during the holidays to make a decision in the event you have to respond to an incident and have to switch from incident response to incident management, meaning you're activating a widespread engagement during the holiday season? Think about that for a moment. Do your executives understand the bottlenecks that they have? What executive can pull the kill switch to say you can disconnect from the internet, meaning you break all your SaaS applications? Who has the authority to isolate if your IR team is vacationing? Or maybe they're taking end of year training and they cannot be reached. Worse, they're in the plane, they're on a cruise ship, or they're in a location where there is no internet and you cannot reach them. And if you could reach them, they don't have the capability of signing in and working remotely. With that, do you have the right policies and procedures in place to allow for remote access for employees during the holidays? Do they understand the procedures? Do you know for certainty that they could respond to a ransomware attack, a data breach, a drive-by attack, or something that's going to cause disruption for end-of-year close for most organizations, as many U.S. companies follow January to December for close. So we're now entering year-end, not just vacation season. Yes, it's easy and well-deserved to take off time in December, but does your organization understand the risk versus the security posture of allowing their team to be offline for an extended period of time? So think about that. Go back to your boss and to your team tomorrow and say, what is our SOP when I can't reach the CISO, the CIO, the CTO? What if the CFO is not available? How do we continue? Or do we have the authority to make a payment if the CFO is not here, or the controller, or the accounts payable team? It's not just a cyber IT concern as we go into year end. As I said, we go from IR, which we're used to dealing with, we respond to incidents all day long in most organizations. But when your IR team has to turn into incident management, do you have the right chain of command during the holiday season? Do you have the right authority to make changes? Do you have the right approvals or approvers to make these workflows work? Again, can your junior staff or a temp employee who's augmenting this season execute the playbooks, the run books, based on your current knowledge base articles and standard operating procedures? This is the time to refresh them, not during the event. Additionally, open your incident response plan. Does it have the right contact information? Do you have Bob's or Sally's right phone number? Do you have the FBI's correct contact, or DHS's correct contact, or whatever your retainer? Do you have the right information to activate the retainer with whoever you're working with? Again, this is the time to reevaluate those playbooks, those run books, as well as your incident response plans. Run a tabletop exercise before year end. Fletus, you're crazy. We're about to shut down for the year. Run a tabletop as soon as you get back. Maybe even consider turning your tabletops into live action or cyber war games. If you're not familiar with tabletops that have been turned into simulations and or war games, here's a quick recap for you. A simulation would be removing one or two of your SOC members to make a purple team engagement where they do an inject into your environment to see if your SOC and IR team can find it. A cyber war game would be actually simulating and playing out an active event in your environment and playing it from beginning to end. This could be a ransomware note. This could be a BEC, a business email compromise. This could be a data leakage. This could be a violation for CMMC where you accidentally shared ITAR data or whatever regulatory requirements, if it's PCI, DSS data, test your regulatory compliance. Remember, compliance is not security, but compliance allows you to understand your gaps. Many of you have just gone through your ISO or SOC 2 audits. You may have passed with flying colors, but as I alluded in this week's Sipping with Cybersecurity podcast, your developers may still be using ChatGPT, which your audit would not catch. So this is the time to ask those targeted questions about your environment, understanding what gaps, even though you got your SOC 2 Type 2, you got your ISO 27001 certification, you are GDP compliant, you have your PCI DSS attestation from those third-party vendors. But what is the risk to your organization for the things that are not part of your audit and your auditor didn't look at? Think about that as we go into the season. So again, I'm thankful to be back on here. It's been a while since I've gone live and talked to you. There's been a lot going on, both professionally and personally, but I wanted to take a few minutes to talk. I am thankful that people have decided to follow me for the past 12 years. I'm thankful that we've had the opportunity to learn and grow together in my 12-month experiment. For those who don't know or local to Charlotte, I'll share again. I'm speaking at the FrostCon put on by B-Sides on Wednesday. Tickets are still available and it'll be in Uptown Charlotte. For those who may not have realized, you have the ability to ask me questions on these calls live. And if not, many of you know how to find me in a Discord channel, a Slack community, a Signal group, or even on LinkedIn. So please let me know how I can continue to help with the mass mentoring that I've been doing for the past several years via LinkedIn, and for the mass mentorships I've done for the last 12 months here on LinkedIn. I've learned from you, I'm growing with you, and I'm looking forward to continuing to add value to the InfoSec community as we go into 2026. I will continue to put out content. I will continue to share life experiences with you, both professionally and personally, to help you grow and develop. And for those who know me personally and have talked with me and heard me talk on other places, my mentorships is not to build clones of me. I never want to say I built another Fletus, because my journey is not your journey. My journey is just to help you understand how to get in the ditch, how to get out of the ditch, and when to stay in the ditch. Yes, you heard me correct. There are times when it is appropriate to not come out of the ditch. It is a learning opportunity. It is an opportunity to learn what to do differently, how to stop and assess before you get out of the ditch and back onto the road to continue your journey. This is best during simulations. This is best in test and development environments and not in production. But some of the best experiences I've learned have been from production outages, where I was adamant that we didn't break it. For the age old, it was DNS. It wasn't DNS. It was our EDR. Our EDR ended up blocking and preventing UCN paths, so file shares from working. It was an endpoint agent, but it was breaking communications to servers. That was a fun event. Again, we're at the 5-year anniversary 4-year anniversary of SolarWinds, where many of us worked a good bit in December, checking for the Orion component in our environments. Many of us have worked other third-party and supply chain attacks, which is the purpose of my talk on Wednesday, and we all learn and grow from them together. Many of us have changed vendors due to breaches. Many of us have stayed with vendors after a breach. We learn and grow together through them. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking time to solicit feedback, to share constructive feedback, and to help me personally grow into the security practitioner, security leader, mentor, and security evangelist I am today. So, as always, I hope you guys continue to learn. I hope you continue to understand that this is a community where we're here to support each other, help each other grow, and ultimately, at the end of the day, I want you guys to know that you're not in this alone. So I appreciate each and every one of you taking time today to join. I hope the rest of the year goes smoothly for you, and that if you do have an event, either from natural disasters, a snowstorm, windstorm, rain, or a cyber event, that you take the opportunity to learn from it and through it. So as always, please stay safe, please stay secure, and ask for help when help is needed. If you enjoy this, please like and subscribe. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. And I hope each and every one of you has a blessed evening, a great week, and I look forward to seeing you at an event either in person, virtually, or we catch up inside of Discord, Slack, Signal, or a LinkedIn chat here in the near future. So until next time, stay safe and stay secure, and I appreciate every single one of you.